one of the most important things in a business is delegation. And
Yeah.
sometimes delegation feels really risky. And today we're joined by Olga. You're welcome.
Thank you so
And
much.
we'll be discussing about delegation. What has that looked like in your experience?
All right. Thank you so much. Yeah. My name's Olga. I'm co-founder at Lila Haven. I'm so glad to be here and get into this discussion. So, first of all, delegation is when you kind of assign a task to somebody else on your team, a task that you feel you can't do, or for whatever reason, you don't do that task yourself and you assign it to somebody else. And in my experience, it's been quite necessary. I don't think um, any entrepreneur will go far without the skill of delegation, learning how to do it, learning when to do it, learning who to delegate to. These are all really, really important aspects. But yeah, I would say my experience with it right now looks very different from my experience with it before. I
Yeah.
used to not want to delegate because I was scared of losing control. I felt it was too risky. I had an idea of like the perfect outcome of the task basically. And I felt that I couldn't trust the people on my team, even though they were, wonderful team members, they have capabilities. I just feel like they can't bring it out like I want to bring it out, like my secret sauce, I guess, in my mind, like the secret thing I was going to add that was going to like differentiate it and everything. Like they couldn't do that. And over time I realized that's not the point, because at the same time the product we want to create, it's something that many people are going to use. Not everyone is going to resonate with, again, my secret sauce, that kind of perfect outcome I want. It's quite specific to me. So it's really, a really huge need for control, for perfectionism. And I would say it's just flawed thinking on that end, because as I said before, like the product is going to be used by many people. It's that extreme personalization and the way I want it. um if we have like an endpoint, we can refine it to that endpoint, true, like, but it's not really something that is necessary that I take a hold of the whole process, because it's counterintuitive, right? It may not provide a desirable product. It's going to burn me out. Um, it's going to create tensions in my team. So I learned to let it go. um, yeah, right now, delegation for me looks like that. It's more of something where we collaborate and we try to come up with a perfect end product together, not me alone. Yeah.
I think for me, in my experience, the hardest part was the fear. As an entrepreneur, you're so afraid of so many things. And that's
Yeah.
the number one thing that holds entrepreneurs back. So I was scared to let someone in, to let them know my idea, first of all. What if they stole it? I had had so many stories
Yeah.
about people that come into your business and they mess it up, they steal your idea, they steal your clients, and then they go and do something even better than you. So it was really the fear. And also, like you said, not being able to trust that someone else could actually add value. But it was so amazing when you meet someone. When I met you, I realized that you brought a whole lot of value to the team, absolutely. And our meeting was really coincidental. We had an
True.
event, and then we were both there, and we decided to work together. And right from day one, all the things that you were sharing were adding value. There were things that I had not thought about. So that's really the advantage of delegation. You bring on board some parts that you might not have. So it's also important to trust the right person,
Yeah.
someone that's made better, adding value to your business. And I think you can really see those telltale signs at the beginning. We've been interviewing a number of people. In those
Yeah.
interviews, what are some of the telltale signs that will definitely let you know that this is not somebody that you want on your team or that you can delegate any tasks to?
Okay. So, before we get into that, I would really like to address something you had mentioned that like we feel a lot of fear, and that's such an
Yeah, yeah.
important point because I feel like that process of like kind of optimizing product, running things behind the scenes, as an entrepreneur, those are the
Hmm.
places where we really have control because we can't control the market, even though we may reach
Yeah.
out to customers, etc. We can't really control the market, but we can control, that kind of process of how our product comes out, the people we're working with to a certain extent. We can control that kind of environment, and
Hmm.
may be maybe influences that need, like, to keep everything on a tight leash and not delegate and have your say like in every single thing. Yeah, that's an interesting point.
Yeah.
But yes, during the interview process, mm, the signs are there from the first um
Absolutely.
from the first even high, and also this is something you should focus on as you're creating your interview questions as well, because I would say in interviews there are like maybe three, but let's narrow them down to two for purposes of this live. Like, two people: there's somebody who is agreeing to everything. There are some people who ask inquisitive questions, and then the third one is people who come with, like, I don't want to say a demanding attitude, but more of um I'm here, I'm gonna get my bag, but not necessarily get my bag. It's more of I want this, this, and this. They're not willing to kind of refine even their product, like, or service offering towards your needs. And I would say that's the biggest red flag, that delegation is not going to work because they come with an idea of, I want to do XYZ, regardless of what they need. I'm not going to change it. If they need element OP, I'm not going to add element OP. Like, I only do XYZ. And that's kind of really, really rigid, and it's not adaptable at all. And you probably will not be able to work well together. Um, I would guess some interviewees are harder to open up than others. Some people are naturally shy, and I don't think that should be a deterrent in kind of analyzing how adaptable they would be, how you guys may work together to delegate tasks, to create new things. But yeah, there's always, as you mentioned before, regardless of attitude, if someone is inquisitive from the get go or someone is a bit more shy, there's always a kind of pondering over over what you're offering, basically. Someone could maybe ask a question about what is it exactly you do, like, who is your target market, and like, um so what does that mean? Like, what can they provide? How would you work together? There are certain questions that will come up, especially, if you tailor your questions right, that will kind of give you insight into, okay, this person is really adaptable. I could trust them. I could trust them because most people, once they want to delegate to somebody, they really want to make sure that the person has like the skills. If you're delegating social media marketing to somebody, right? It kind of makes sense if you delegate it to somebody who has social media marketing skills. But sometimes the people we interview, their skills are not really like at the refined level that even they want, or that someone else may demand. But you see the potential in them. You see that this person works, they're willing to work hard, they are amiable to talk to, they're a good team player, they're inquisitive, they have great ideas, they're willing to learn and grow, and you guys can grow together. So why not hire this person? Because the skills, they can learn them. Like, in 3 weeks they can be able to get the skills and get familiar with the market and the audience and everything. So it's a combination of those things. Yeah, but
Absolutely.
trust your gut too.
And yeah, and for me, I love most is someone that's willing to learn, someone that's inquisitive, willing to hear from the team and get the guidance and the information they need. That is priceless because skills can be taught, but they can only be taught if you really have the ability to learn. And then another thing that can help you to delegate is to shift your mind from control to leadership. Because delegation is not like you're no longer going to be doing your roles. It's just
Mm,
empowering someone else and they'll still report back to you. And sometimes when we delegate, we begin to micromanage. What are some of those advantages or no, disadvantages of micromanagement? Because as an entrepreneur, you might think micromanaging is advantageous because you want things to be done a certain way, you're so rigid about your structure, and you're not allowing this person to actually have the free will to express themselves and put in new ideas. So what are some of those disadvantages?
Okay, that's a really good question. Um, so with micromanagement, it's tricky. I would say like we usually, again, it comes from that need for power, perfectionism. Like we want this to work out. So you're like, okay, I don't trust the other person to, as you mentioned before, provide enough value, but at the same time, to kind of bring the image I have in my mind to life. And we start to like, okay, when you do that, choose purple, then choose this, then choose that. And I guess there's no personal input from the person, It's like you're telling an AI, do this, do that, like, absolutely no feelings. But even AI sometimes changes stuff up, like it personalizes. So I don't think there's anyone out there who's going to do XYZ exactly as you envision it, even, ourselves. Yeah. So with micromanagement, biggest pitfall is the way it makes the team feel. It makes your team members feel like they're not valued.
Hmm.
It just rubs people the wrong way because you're going to become overbearing.
Hmm.
They're going to start dreading every feedback you have. Every time you tell them
Absolutely.
to do something or assign a task, it's like, oh, here we go again. She's going to be mentioning all the time, checking up on us every 5 minutes. So it just creates a really negative work environment where people are feeling uninspired and annoyed, and it can also contribute to burnout because it kind of creates a toxic workplace culture in some cases. Yeah, I would say one of the best ways to combat this is to focus on outcomes, not
Hmm.
micromanagement, because those can be
Yeah.
defined. If you've given somebody a task and they um finished it and it's not as you envisioned, you can say, oh, maybe focus on this next time. It's really kind of trusting the process. You have to let go of that attachment to that
Yeah.
perfect thing you envisioned, and also to trust in the people that you're working with.
Yeah.
As you said before, it's not
Absolutely.
like you're losing your role. You're not giving up the role of a leader or whatever your position may be. You're just asking somebody to help you do your job, basically. Yeah, it's all about teamwork. And also,
Yeah, sure.
yeah, sorry. And also, a key point is leadership. Because most people who delegate are people who are leaders, right? Team
Yeah.
leader, COO, CEO, anything like that, right? So from that position of leadership, you need, like, it's absolutely essential again. And you need to kind of
Yeah.
understand, like, this is one of the big roles of being a leader. You need to face certain things about yourself. Leadership is really trying, personally, on a personal level. It's really trying um everything you knew about yourself and the habits that you're comfortable, like that you're stuck in, again, like that need for control, etc. And it's going to test you as a leader, like to build
Yeah.
capacity in other people. You're going to learn to trust. You have to learn how to trust
Hmm.
other people. You have to learn how to see the potential and help someone reach that potential. And it requires a lot of encouragement at the same time. When you had asked
Hmm.
me this question, my mind came to children and like how they develop in psychology. And of course, your team members are not children, but like um, you need to, at some point, you need to give a child space to experiment, to learn, etc., to kind of really just experience the world. Even though you are the parent and you know more, it's really important for that child to develop those crucial skills themselves. And I would say it's the same for the team members. Even though you're
Hmm.
scared, you're going to delegate a task and they make mistakes, it's okay. You're building capacity in them, you're building capacity in your team members, and you're allowing them to kind of get their hands dirty. And eventually they will they'll be able to catch things on fly. You're all learning together. You're learning to be a leader, They're learning to be a team leader. They're learning how to best do their role. They're learning in different situations. So, yeah, it's really, really about trusting each other, building that capacity, gaining skills as a leader. And as you gain your skills
Hmm.
as a leader, and you kind of really define your role, because at the same time, most most entrepreneurs, they started the whole idea and everything, so they feel really um attached to it, right? If they could, I think most people
Yeah.
would really love to just work alone or something and create the thing themselves. But we need a team because we mm, it's hard. It's really hard to
And I think
scale and grow. Yeah.
that's really one of the reasons why people burn out. The burnout is so much because you're an entrepreneur, you're trying to do everything yourself, you're trying to speak to the clients yourself, you're trying to get to the investors yourself. And at the end of the day, you're going to out because you cannot do everything on your own.
No
So
way.
there's some low impact tasks that you can delegate. You can delegate tasks like admin, email scheduling, and other tasks that you feel like probably you might not be able to do well, but someone else can do
Yeah.
well. Things like accounting and finance, if you're not equipped with accounting and finance skills, marketing, if you're not equipped with marketing skills. But I still think that there's so many things that you're able to delegate so that you're not out. What other things do you think entrepreneurs can delegate in their work?
Okay. Yeah. As you said, low impact tasks. Even those tasks outside of your zone of genius, like there are certain things that you do really well. For example, us.
Yeah.
We are people in mental health. We have experience in counseling and giving therapy, but
Hmm.
not so much in finance, like financial analytics, stuff
Yeah.
like that, coding, building
Hmm.
things behind the scenes, techie stuff.
Yeah.
Not so much in our zone of genius. And this is somewhere where it's really, really worth it to kind of get someone we value, get someone we trust, and kind of
Hmm.
trust them to build our vision, properly. Because at the end of the day, you're still the leader. Like we still have, if we don't like it, we'll say, okay, change it. You know what I mean? So it eliminates the need for micromanagement, and it eliminates the stress on us, as you mentioned, because again, that's the biggest thing of burnout. I mean, cause of burnout, because we put so much on ourselves, and even the mental pressure.
Hmm.
Like, even though we're not doing the tasks, sometimes it just stresses us that someone else is doing something we wish we could have done ourselves. It's a bit
Yeah.
strange, but it does happen. Like, it adds that mental pressure. So yeah, such tasks outside
Absolutely.
your zone of genius. And y- I think these things make themselves known as we start, because sometimes as you're on your entrepreneurial journey, there are going to be some tasks that you feel like, okay, I just want to get this done with and focus on that other one.
Hmm.
Yeah, like there's a main thing you want to be focusing on, and these tasks are not allowing you to do that. Those are the tasks to delegate, because as an entrepreneur, your mental resources are really, really valuable. And we always stress this at Lila Haven, like mindset, your brain, um
Absolutely.
your thinking, it's the biggest resource for your business, because it's what started it all.
Absolutely.
It's the genesis, for the whole journey of your business. So it's your most precious resource. And once you find that you're wasting resources, mental resources, on a task that you don't want to
Mhm.
really perform or do, and you want to be focusing on that other one because that's the one that gives you inspiration, you're going to get yourself burnt out 100% for real. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
And that's
it
why we
definitely.
also have, yeah, that's why we have some offerings at Lila Haven that help you to recalibrate your mindset. So if you're an entrepreneur out there, you're feeling stuck, you're feeling burnt out, please do reach out and help you get your mindset back on track. The entrepreneurial mindset that actually yields results. If you're feeling stuck at any point of your journey, we can help you to declog and declutter everything. So when you're delegating your roles, you must be your expectations. At Lila Haven, we usually use standard operating procedures to be able to share that information, the tasks that we want them to do, and exactly how we want them to do it. But I think there are also other things that you need to be clear on when you're delegating, like being clear on your expectations. When do you want it
Yeah.
done? So, for example, when you're speaking to your team member and you've delegated something, you must tell them that, let's say, for example, in accounting, I need this document done and I need it by end of today at 5 p.m. And maybe this is the quality I want. I want the document to be complete with everything. And so when you communicate clearly, it makes it easier for your team member to be able to deliver. Because
Yeah.
sometimes the reason why they're lagging behind is because you're giving ambiguous requests. For example, if you just said, I want this document, you're not clear on what time, when, and if they take a week, you will start grumbling in your heart and saying, oh, this person is not doing a good job. But because you are not clear on your expectations. So adding the date, the time that you expect that, and what exactly it is you require from that, and then the SOP to show them and ensure that they know how to get that done is so important.
Yeah. That's sorry, my throat. That's a very important point and heavy on the SOPs because the SOPs are kind of like delegation manuals.
Yeah.
When we had started, I was not quite sure. Like, I struggled with the SOPs because it was, as I'm CEO operations and everything. And
Hmm.
um, I think also many people struggle with this in the beginning. It's like, okay, I have an SOP, but I'm not sure what that process is going to look like again because it seems complicated, right? Because you're like, okay, I just open my email and then I do this and then I click a few buttons, then I do this, then I go there, I edit this, and you don't know how to like write that down in writing so someone else can kind of follow the process, and it looks like
Hmm.
for just like formalities basically. But it's like a very big cheat code. Actually, you can write SOPs anyway. They can be a video, they can be a flow chart, they can be literally notes, where where like you bullet point everything, checklists. But it really helps keep
Absolutely.
things in line. Yeah, as you said, like it really helps with communication and making everyone know like this is exactly what you need from someone for this task. You can write SOPs for a specific task. You can write SOPs for a whole process. You can write SOPs even for clocking in, like on the daily. Yeah, I would say it's really that was a big one. And also, one of the most important things as well, I would say, like helping with delegation, etc., is kind of like these feedback loops where
Hmm.
you're constantly checking in on someone. How far with this task? How far with this? Like, do you need any help?
Yeah.
Should we pivot? Is it really hard? Like, do you need more time? Because it really helps everyone to feel supported. I think one of the
Hmm.
biggest things that happens in startups, especially, is that we don't really have a full team. Like, I don't know how to explain it, like a full managerial team as you would find in maybe a big company whereby there's IT department, marketing department, sales department, etc. So many people are taking on many different roles, and
Yeah.
some people have tasks that um they're kind of unfamiliar with, but also someone else may be able to help them. So sometimes you're going to have to like join heads with somebody else on this task, then you do the other one alone. And I don't think anyone in that situation wants to feel like an island, feel unsupported from the rest of the team. So it really, really helps everyone to keep each other motivated if, we have people checking in on each other and we can talk about basically what we're doing and how, we think we can do it and how it's impacting us. What would your experience on that be?
I think it's so important, and having milestones and reviews and also like weekly meetings. For us at Lila Haven, we have those every twice a week where we
Yeah.
meet and we check up on the progress of the work. So this really creates a type of accountability
Mm.
and ensures that the work is getting done. And if there are hiccups as to the reason why the work is not progressing, you can easily identify those hiccups and be able to assist and move forward. And
Yeah.
then also, the weekly check-ins help us to not micromanage, because if you are doing daily checkups, it just looks like, whew, this person is on my neck. But
Yeah.
weekly gives someone a bit of breathing space such that they don't feel micromanaged. And then also, having that trust for your team is so important. At the end of the day, the delegation depends on the trust. So the biggest investment you make is in your team. And the team is going to drive your business forward. They're going to push you to places that you never thought. So you must invest in your team. You must trust your team. You must create that kind of connection and network within the team. And if you're struggling with that, please reach out at Lila Haven. We can still have a conversation about that and help you to get through it.
Yeah. Help everybody get their mindset right, teach you what to kind
Yeah.
of look out for, what you specifically you resonate with, your kind of code of um values that you follow and you want to find in other people. We can help refine all of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So if you're out there and you're watching this, please let us know what your experience with delegation is. As we've come to the end of this stream, please reach out if you need some help with your team, if you need help finding a team at all stages of your entrepreneurial process, and we can guide you such that you can recalibrate your mindset and get your business running. Okay.
Yeah.
So leave a comment and join us for the next live next week. All right. Thank you so much, Olga. Thank
You're
you
welcome.
for